We all have one of those rooms, perhaps an unused basement or spare room. Why not turn it into a beautiful space that adds appeal and value to your home? How? Room makeovers start at the top with the crisp, clean look of a new Armstrong suspended ceiling. Best of all, your new room is just a weekend away when you do it yourself. Your ceiling installation will go a lot smoother, and you'll eliminate unnecessary additional trips to the home center if you have all the supplies and equipment you need before you begin. Obviously, the first thing you'll need is a supply of Armstrong ceiling panels. We'll calculate the number you'll need in the measuring section. You'll need a suspension grid, of course. This Armstrong suspended ceiling grid kit contains enough molding, main beams, cross tees, and 16-gauge hanger wires for an 8-foot by 8-foot room. If you need help estimating materials, visit Armstrong.com and use our online materials estimator. Then you'll need some basic tools you probably already have in your workshop: a tape measure, chalk line, hammer, metal snips for main and cross tees, wire cutters, string, utility knife, screwdriver, a pencil, and of course, safety glasses. Just about the only tricky part of your installation will be establishing a level ceiling plane and installing the edge molding. You may want to rent a laser level. This is the tool that professional ceiling installers use, and it makes quick work of a tedious part of the job. Add a stepladder and work gloves, and you're ready to begin. It's important to plan your new ceiling before you begin. You'll avoid wasting materials and time. Armstrong suspended panels are 2 feet by 4 feet or 2 feet by 2 feet. It's unlikely that your room is an exact multiple of those dimensions, so you're going to end up with partial panel widths at the perimeter. To achieve a professional-looking ceiling, you'll want to have those panels equally balanced on opposite sides of the room. Let's say, for example, that your plan leaves you with a 3-foot width running along one wall. You can either center it so there's an 18-inch width on either side, or you can shift the grid layout so there are two 42-inch widths along either side. Calculate this by adding the panel dimension, in this direction 48 inches, to the leftover border. 48 inches plus 36 inches divided by 2. That leaves you with two 42-inch borders. Professional installers know that wider widths look better than narrow ones do. This is also why it's easier to do your planning on paper before you begin. The first step to installing your grid is establishing your ceiling height. You must leave at least 3 inches below joists, pipes, or ducts when you establish your ceiling heights. Perimeter molding will be installed at the ceiling height you select. Installing wall molding at a level height will help ensure that your ceiling plane is level and flat. The easiest way to establish a level ceiling plane is with laser level. This is what the pros use and makes the job of leveling your ceiling almost foolproof. Set it to your desired ceiling height. Most will automatically level themselves and show exactly where to fasten the perimeter molding to the wall. You can also mark your perimeter manually. First, establish your ceiling height and mark it 1 inch higher. Use a carpenter's level, the longer the better, to mark the plane along 3 walls. Then, snap a chalk line to mark the 4th wall. Now, you're ready to attach the wall molding with 6 penny nails or screws. An extra pair of hands will help you maneuver the molding lengths. You can butt the molding at inside corners, but you should miter the outside corners. If you're installing against a concrete sidewall, just hang a main beam along the wall instead of a piece of wall molding. It will look the same when the job is complete. After you've installed the wall molding, you'll install the main beams in the opposite direction of the ceiling joists This is where that grid layout you did earlier will really come in handy. Begin by measuring the position of your first main beam at each end of the room, according to your plan. Then, snap a chalk line to mark where the main beam will intersect each joist across the room. Measure 4-foot intervals and snap a chalk line for each. Install wire fasteners at each point where the chalk lines and the joists meet. These fasteners hold up your ceiling, so make sure they're secure. Cut hanger wires about 12 inches longer than the drop in your ceiling. Pass 6 inches of each wire through the fastener and wrap it at least 3 times. There are 2 ways to determine the proper length for each wire across the span of the room. You can install a leveling string 7/8 of an inch above the bottom of the wall molding. Pound nails at that height on opposite ends of each row of hangers and stretch a string. You could also use your laser level to reveal the correct height with its laser light. Where the string or the laser light indicates, use your pliers to bend each hanger wire. Slots in main beams are the cross T slots. In your plan, you calculated the width of the end panels around the border of the room. That distance is the location of the first slot from the end of the main beam. So mark it and cut the main beam. The right way to cut a T is to first cut the back at a slight angle, then bend and cut the face. Place the cut end of the main beam against the wall and steady it with the hanger wire that you've installed. Attach the main T to each hanger wire. If the holes don't line up, rebend the wire to align with the nearest hole. To conserve materials, use the leftover piece of main T to begin the next row. Be sure to cut it so that the cross T slot is aligned at the correct distance from the end. Now you're ready to install the cross Ts. Nail a guide string to locate the edge of the first main beam. Cut the cross Ts where they intersect the guide string. You can make sure your grid is square by taking diagonal measurements. They should be the same. If not, adjust the length of the main Ts until your grid pattern is square. Some ceiling panels are 2 feet by 2 feet. You'll install that grid the same way, just adjusting your dimensions. Installing the ceiling panels is easy. Just tip them up into the opening. There are a few things to remember, however, to make the job and cleanup easier. Begin with perimeter panels and work toward the center of the room. Be sure you have clean hands before touching the panels and work only on clean surfaces. When trimming panels to non-standard sizes, measure from the wall to the edge of the T-face and add 1/4 inch. Measure both sides in case there are slight variations in dimensions. Use a piece of scrap T as a straight edge. Cut panels face side up with a sharp utility knife. Careful planning and measuring are the most important things you can do. But you'll find additional tricks of the trade along with instructions for handling non-standard conditions you may encounter, such as basement windows, pipes, or stairwells, in our Tips for Professional Installers pamphlet available online at www.armstrong.com.